Coach, when it's kind of a rough night at the office, what's the message to the team following a game like that?
Starting with me, we got to be better. That was a lack of competition, and we allowed a team to come on our home floor and really make us look soft. And that's what I told our group, like, that can't happen. So starting with me and the rest of our guys, we got to be freaking better than that.
Did the amount of threes that they put up kind of surprise you a little bit, because they came in averaging 31 a game and they put up over 50?
Well, for sure. We wasn't expecting those guys to shoot the way they did, but it was the way they got their threes. They got their threes because they got in the teeth of our defense over and over again, and they got easy kick-out threes. And when you don't bring a level of physicality to the game, those shots are comfortable, and that's what it looked like for them all night.
Why did you just think there was a lack of physicality from you guys tonight?
Well, I think they're a physical team. They climb into you. They guard you full court. You try to drive. They come in and they're getting steals. And then we couldn't capitalize offensively. So we allowed our shots, or our lack of shot making, to bring our energy down as a team. And even when that happens, we got to continue to stick with it, trust each other over and over again. And that can't discourage you from going out and competing as a group. And that's what it did tonight.
Yeah, I mean, DeJounte's first game in more than a month. I think he missed his first 7 shots. What did you just think of the game overall? Is it natural that he has some rust after coming back?
Yeah, that's natural. You can expect that, he's going to have some rust coming back after a long, recovery process that he went through. So that's a part of the game, and things like that happen in terms of what he did offensively. But he'll continue to get it back. He hit some shots in the second half, got it going a little bit, and he'll continue to get better and better.
Was this as frustrated as you've been after a loss? Probably.
No, but I'm frustrated. Not as frustrated as I've been, but I'm definitely frustrated.
There was a point in the game when fans were kind of booing a little bit. What's kind of your message to them?
To who?
To the fans that were disappointed.
Same thing. My message stays the same. It's like, we're disappointed in our performance, and if we step on our floor and we don't bring it, that's what happens. You got to bring it every night. People pay their money to come see you play. That's what it is. We understand that, though. We understand that on our home floor, on any floor, we got to come out and compete for 48 minutes. We did it for about almost 2 quarters, and then at the end of the second quarter is when their physicality, our lack of shot making, allowed them to go on a run, and it demoralized us. That's where we have to be better.
And when you see the issue is beyond, execution or shot making, what do you have to do to kind of address that? Beyond just, just talking after the game, what do you have to do to kind of fix that and nip it in the bud?
Well, number one was addressing it right after the game with honesty. Like, we played soft. We didn't compete for 48 minutes. We cannot develop a reputation for being that type of team no matter who steps on the floor for us. It's going back, watching film, and then getting on the floor and working at it.
And you mentioned some of the shot making, but also it was struggle, making shots in the paint tonight. What did you kind of see just not being able to, finish around the basket tonight?
It all ties back into their aggressiveness defensively against us and continuing to trust each other when teams do that. No matter what happens, just trust each other. The pass is there, pass it, trust your teammate. They got to make the next best decision. And then the same thing on the defensive end, trust each other.
Brandon, Jordan in particular, the last several games, obviously Hawk has been working through the injury, but their offense has really kind of fallen off. How do you find ways to get easy baskets for this team? It seems like you're working so hard on the offensive end, and it's not yielding results.
Well, we got to try to capitalize on some of our, stops, and that's where we're having some struggles. We're getting some stops, 5, 6 stops in a row. We're not going down scoring. We're getting steals. We're not attacking fast enough. So we got to pick up our pace offensively. That'll get those guys easy looks. Other than that, they just got to continue to trust in their work, get on the floor. You got open shots, take it. If not, drive it with confidence.
How do you measure now progress when you've had a number of double-digit losses? How do you keep guys motivated? How do you address these seemingly bigger issues than just the injuries? There has to be some mental component at this stage.
It's not. It's basketball. You step on the floor, bring it every night, and let the chips fall where they may. Like, step on the floor, let's compete, our teams have done that, even through double-digit losses, even being shorthanded, and that's what we expect out of each other. Step on the floor, 48 minutes, let's bring it.
So what do you addressed it in the locker room. How do you address it on the practice court now? How do players hold themselves accountable? Or did anybody besides you address the team and step up and address the effort or lack thereof tonight?
We'll address it as we progress, but right now it was just me, having an opportunity to talk to our team and, have some honesty about what we did tonight. And moving forward, we'll continue to get better. And that's the deal. It's a long season. We're not going to put everything into one game, but we're definitely all frustrated, disappointed in our performance tonight.
You mentioned how it's basketball and you step on the floor and play, but the last few games, one of the top players in, out, it's just like a recycling of injuries. And do you think that kind of frustration has mounted to your players, and has that maybe contributed to to any losses?
Well, that's definitely the reality that we're under. I'm just not one for excuses. This is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to step on the floor, for us to go after each and every game, and I'll stand right here and take full ownership for what happened tonight. It's totally on me as a coach to get our guys prepared and ready to play, and I didn't do a good job, starting with me, and that can't happen.
You talked about how important it was to get off to a good start this season. All the conditions that have conspired against you and the internal things, you haven't gotten off to a good start.
Right.
How do you instill both a sense of urgency about right now and then still have any kind of long-term, what's the more important thing for you to get to turn around first?
The biggest thing for us is continue to see our group progress, make progress. And the last couple games, Golden State, Indiana, we saw progress with the way we went out and played. Tonight we took a step back. So we want to continue to make progress. It's a long season, and we're not going to put pressure and stress on ourselves with so many guys out that we got to hold ourselves to this, record. But let's make progress. And if we can continue to make progress, starting with our ability to compete for 48 minutes, it wasn't close to being that tonight. It starts with that, and then everything else works itself out.
Willie, when you first got here, the team started 3-16. Is there anything you can draw from that experience to now?
Yeah, it's the same. Stay consistent with our message. You have games like this. Unfortunately, it's a long season, and you have games where, it's a letdown, and we have to learn from it. All of us. We have to learn what it takes to walk into our building with the professionalism, to work, to be detailed, and have carryover on the floor. Yes, there's uncontrollables with injuries, guys out, guys in and out. We can't make those excuses. We got to step on the floor and be ready to play. And you lean on some of the things that happened our first season, starting off slow, having guys out, and we made a run, and we can do it again.
Well, how do you think your guys received your message after the game?
They were good. They understand. They want that. They want coaching. They want teaching. They understand that we didn't bring it, and we got a great group of guys. I enjoy coaching them. For the most part, they bring it. Tonight, we didn't.
And kind of to the 3-16 point, the record is what it is. The injuries are what they are. But how do you kind of avoid the feeling that it's too far gone now? It's the gap is so big. I guess how do you avoid the feeling like it's too much to make up at this point?
Just focus on one game at a time. Don't get too ahead of ourselves. For us, the bigger goal is to focus on one game at a time. We're not going to win 10 games in a row in one game. Let's focus on one game at a time and take it from there. All right. Thanks.
Yeah, how did it just feel for you, be back out for the first time in a little more than a month?
Awful. I feel great, man. Obviously, first game, going up and down the NBA live game. It was great to, just be around practice starting off and, obviously come out in the game. And obviously we was awful, from a whole, but, me as an individual, my body start, trying to figure it out as the game was going. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, there's just been so many bodies out for you guys. How does this team get on track offensively and get towards where you want to be?
I mean, see, that's the thing right there. We talk about offense, but it's competing, from me on down, everybody, the coaches, execution, starting to practice to the games. Us going out there that got to compete. We got to compete. We got embarrassed. They was able to do whatever they want. Us players, starting with myself, we didn't execute nothing. We just got embarrassed. That's really it. And it came down to competing. And we have to have a different approach, starting with the game plans and executing them in practice, then executing them in the games. We can't really sit here and be like, oh, this guy's in, this guy's out. I know Willie's got it hard for as the starting lineups. I think it's like been 15 or something. But at the end of the day, that shouldn't be an excuse for us players to, have an identity of competing each and every night.
What was Willie's message like after the game, and how was it kind of received by the team?
I mean, really what I just said. I mean, it shouldn't take him to come say a message. I mean, if you don't feel embarrassed as an individual, then that's a problem, But, I keep everything in the locker room. It's the locker room. So, our coach came in. Obviously, there's nothing to smile about or be happy about, and that's that.
And when you, like you said, you come back after being out for a while, trying to find your rhythm and the shots on falling early, what are you trying to do at that point just to kind of make your impact felt in the game?
I mean, I kept trying to, use my voice, just compete. They were letting them use their hands, be physical. They're a physical team. I know since I've been in the league, Toronto, no matter what coach is there, they always, try to be physical, had players to be physical, especially with this young group that they have. If they're allowing them to be physical, then, you got to put the pressure on the referees to, make them call fair game. So you got to be physical as well. So, if you notice, I was trying to be physical. Obviously they call some fouls. I don't think it was fouls, but it's the NBA. It's all good. But, we just gotta compete. You can't get punked. You can't get pushed around. And it showed. They did that, and they knew, like, okay, we could do whatever we want with these guys. So they came in our building and embarrassed us.
You talked a lot since you come here about, wanting to establish yourself as a leader, seeing yourself in that light, seeing where the team is now, kind of the hole y'all are in, what are the responsibilities of the leaders to kind of get the team back on track mentally and prevent it from feeling like, there's no coming back from this?
I mean, like I said in the beginning, it's how you approach things, just from a professional standpoint and then to a basketball standpoint. Obviously, this is what we get paid to do. So, being on time, being early, executing, taking care of your body, what I'm saying? All that stuff matters, working on your game. And then we come together, as a collective unit, like I said, the approach, building the identity, and it's tough. Like I said, when you got guys in, guys out, guys in, guys out, it's really tough. But I think it's not tough to compete, I'm going to continue to say that, start with myself. We got to compete, we got to execute, and that's that. So, from a leader standpoint, I just let who I am naturally be, and that's just coming in, being early, taking care of my body. Even with the rehab stuff, I was there every day. Even when I was gone away from the team, I was taking care of my business so I can come back and do what I love to do, and it starts with all that, so that's that as a leader standpoint.
And like you mentioned, there's so many moving pieces, it's tough to kind of develop that chemistry, knowing how to play off of each other. But what are you seeing on the offensive end, and why it's kind of been so difficult the past few games, just finding a rhythm offensively?
I mean, I think it's been tough from even me just watching. Like I said, identity. We got to have an identity of who we are, who we want to be. And I think, like I said, this team have potential to be a really good defensive team. I mean, they've been that, in the past. So, I feel like we still have the potential to be that with the guys we got. And I think that just had to be your mentality, man. You got to come in and, want to guard, as an individual, the little stuff when it comes to team defense. And then offensively, like playing together, have that identity. Where are you going to get your shots, these spots, understanding the offense. Like, it's just a lot that goes into it, but there's no excuses. We pros, we get paid to do this, so you got to do this, or you're going to get embarrassed like you did tonight.
Does this feel like a night where you have to draw a line in the sand when you lose to a team that had not won on the road this year, that also has been struggling, and you do this at home and folks leave the arena, they're booing? Does this feel like for everybody, this is where you look guys in the eye? Because I think, from a distance, it could look like DeJounte's up here smiling.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see that there's an intensity behind it, like you're smiling because you don't want to, how do you draw that line as a professional? Because you've been in winning situations. You've been in losing situations. How do you not let this continue to be a losing situation?
I mean, it's the NBA, so you don't really focus on, this team lost this many games, won this many games. Like, anybody could win on any given night in the NBA. As you see, like, I don't think you're going to lose games, but it's how you lose games. And we didn't compete. We didn't execute. From offense, defense, when the game plans was horrible, and that's on us. That's not on nobody else besides the guys that lace them up and go out and play. So, I mean, yeah, you as an individual, like I said in the beginning, if you're not embarrassed or really mad about this, like, that's a problem. And that's pretty much what I could say about that, but it's the NBA. You got Thanksgiving tomorrow. I know somebody like me, it's going to be on my head tonight, tomorrow. Because it's not really about the loss, how we lost in front of our fans, like even the fans booing. I mean, what would you do if you was a fan paying your money? You want to come watch a competitive basketball game, especially from your home team. So they got all the rights to say what they want, feel how they feel. They deserve a better game. And just us as individuals, we get paid to play, at a high level.
What is the next step? Let's say, you don't want to look and say, well, there's 60-plus games left in the season. You can't win all 60 right now. But where do you start laying some benchmarks and say, we need to be here as how we play, but also with our record if we want to make this a real season? How do y'all have all of those things going on at the same time to get going in the right direction?
I mean, you gotta be healthy. If you go look at all the winning teams that go far, they're healthy. You know what I'm saying? So that's number one. So whatever you got to do to get healthy, don't rush whatever it is. And that's for anybody. You handle your business each and every day. It's going to be irritating because rehab does the same things every day, consistently. So, handle your business. And then for us, like I said, like you're gonna win games, you're gonna lose games, but you can compete. Like tonight was it was disgusting. So it's like I don't pretty much know what to tell you. Like, we got to compete. We got to play harder, and that's just that, no matter who's on the floor.
You mentioned it was disgusting. I mean, do you think it was, obviously it's only your second game, but being around the team all year, do you think this was kind of, rock bottom for you and the guys so far, and how much of a wake-up call do you expect tonight to be for this team?
I mean, I love adversity as an individual. Tough times, that's where I come from. So it builds character. It builds who you are. You're going to thrive in it or you're going to shy away from it. So, it's either way. And adversity is good. Moral of the story, adversity is good. So like I said, where you go from here, you should be really upset about this and going forward. Like, I think everybody comes in to win. I don't think nobody comes in every day, I want to get hurt or I don't want to play games. So it's like execution, compete at a high level, play together, and have fun. You're in the NBA, and that's just that.
DeJounte, as one of the leaders of this team, what does accountability look like from your perspective? Like, what are you going to do between now and when the next game tips off?
I mean, now, obviously, I'm going to go home with my family, but, because it's about your family. You go home, people go back to their families, and, tomorrow you got Thanksgiving. But as soon as we get on that plane, you got to lock in to understanding what just happened because this just don't go away. You don't want bad habits to carry over and over. So like I said, whatever coach's plan is, going forward when we get on the plane to go to Memphis, be ready to compete, execute. And this should be something on your mind. I know it's the NBA and you move on, but like this game was embarrassing and you don't want these bad habits to continue to carry over. Yep. See y'all later. You too.
CJ, what was kind of the message from Coach in the locker room after this one and just the overall feel amongst you guys?
I mean, it was a horrible showing. I think we just got to do a better job, and it starts with, our approach days before the game, how we're executing in practice, how our walkthroughs are going. I think it's just urgency. There's a lot of things that we just got to get better at execution-wise, even when there's nobody on the floor, when there's no crowd, when there's no opponent. We got to get better, and all of that carries over to performances like tonight. So I think it's just from top to bottom, we all got to be better. We can't have these types of showings, especially at home in front of our home crowd. It was a horrible game, a horrible performance, from myself all the way down to the last guy.
And you joined that team later in the season that started off 3-16. What do you think it takes to kind of, recover from something like that and not have that feeling that, man, we're too far back to kind of make up this type of gap?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with practice. It starts with your approach to practice, and obviously we're not going to have a lot of practices, because of the schedule, because of the travel. So when we get shoot-arounds, when we have those moments where we can get better at things, we have to take advantage of it, and then it has to carry over to the game. And you're going to lose games, but we can't lose how we did tonight. I think that's the difference, right? We got to be able to compete. You got to be able to execute the game plan and give yourself a chance to win games. And we've done it in the past, and now we have to do it at a high level immediately because, there's not a lot of time. And in the Western Conference, you can't get too far behind.
And that's what often we hear, booze in this building from the fans.
Yeah.
What's kind of the thought going through your mind when you kind of heard that in the second half?
We deserved it. We deserved it, man. I'm a fan of sports. I play the game, obviously. I watch a lot of games, and they pay their hard-earned money to watch us perform at a high level, and we didn't do that tonight. And it's not about making and missing shots. Obviously, we got to do better at that. I have to be better at that, and I will. We're putting the time in. I'm putting the time in to be able to contribute and help. But I think it's everything. It's a combination of, defensively, the rotations, the rebounding. It's a lot that we got to get better at. And, this was a lot of slippage tonight. And we're going to go up against some really good teams on this road trip. So we got to tighten up, and I'll be better, and our team will be better.
So we've all seen plenty of NBA games where one team shoots unusually well from three, and the game just kind of gets away from the other team. It sounds like you don't think this was that.
I mean, it was a lot of things. They hit 21 threes, and they're, a bottom 5 3-point shooting team in the NBA. So either they got better overnight, or we got to do a better job of closing out and making it more difficult. But you got to credit them. They played well. I think the end of the second quarter, the third quarter hurt us, and that's when the game kind of shifted. We played them essentially even in the fourth, but the game was over, right? So got to do a better job of tightening it up in the quarters. And defensively, we got to make guys feel us out there. It's we want fouls on offense, but then on defense, we're not being aggressive. So we got to do a better job being aggressive and putting the onus on the referees to call fouls, similar to what the teams are doing to us.
And to what extent would you say this performance is just kind of a one-off, like a bad night, or is it maybe to some extent symptomatic of just this difficult stretch that you've been going through for several weeks?
I mean, this is my second game back, so I think, for us, it's guys have been in and out of the lineup. There's been a lot of changes, consistently hard to establish rhythms and rotations, so I think that plays a factor, but this was just a bad game that we can't have, and we got a chance to move forward and be better on this road trip.
CJ, what does your next 40 hours look like? As one of the leaders of the team, how do you lift up everybody around you? How do you get everybody on the same page, prepared, ready for Memphis?
Yeah, well, it's Thanksgiving, so everybody's going to be able to hopefully enjoy some time with their families before we get on a plane. Later that evening tomorrow, we'll land. We'll have a team dinner together, be able to kind of talk and get away from the game a little bit, and then we'll be back to game plan and walking through stuff with an earlier game on Friday. But it's just more about communication, and it's just more about a sense of urgency and understanding that time is ticking. We're 4 and whatever, and it ain't getting no easier.
Is one of the best things you can do just to get back on the court, to try and make atones, put this memory way behind you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination. We're not going to have practice tomorrow. Obviously, it's Thanksgiving, and then we have to fly. So it's just about being around each other, being able to kind of talk, not just about the game, obviously, but about life. And then that accountability, it goes to a higher level when you have those types of relationships, right? When you're able to meet somebody off the court, be able to hang out off the court. I think it makes the accountability better and the trust better. So I think we're getting there, and obviously guys have been in and out. This is DJ's first game back. Everybody's trying to get in rhythm, trying to establish a better sense of a better cadence, and the coaching staff is continuing to have to adjust, right? Because guys have been in and out of the lineup since the season started, since the first day of training camp.
What's the process been like with you kind of getting acclimated with DJ, obviously, between, practice, off-season, whatever, but now obviously getting to play in just a few games with him? What's that like, and what do you think's got to happen for y'all to be able to kind of gel?
Yeah, I mean, we both got injured. He got injured in the first game of the season, and I got injured, so we didn't have as much time as we would have liked together. Then, rehabbing and then trying to ramp up and get back out there to help our guys. He obviously, came back at around the 4-week mark. I came back, around like the 4-week mark basically, and it's going to take time, and it's unfortunate, that this has happened. But I think we'll be better from it. This is a lot of adversity because of the injuries, obviously the record. But talking about a guy that loves basketball, he works hard. He treats the game that you're supposed to treat it, and usually the game comes back to you when you do things the right way. So I think for us, it's about continuing to have the dialogue, continuing to hold each other accountable, continuing to play off of each other, and the more reps we can get, the better. But you're talking about us, playing one game in October and then playing our second game together in November, with it being his first game and it being my second game back from injury. So we're getting better each day from a communication standpoint. And I think it'll transition into us playing better basketball collectively as a team.
Thanks, CJ.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.